Good morning, ladies, and thank you for joining us in Far Above Rubies today. Today we are wrapping up the book of Acts. Can you believe it already? So your focus for your reading challenge today is going to be Acts chapter 28, and here we see another step in Paul's journey. In this story, we find Paul post-shipwreck, and he's on this island, and it says that the islanders are treating them unusually kind. That's what the scripture says, unusually kind. They've built a fire for them, they're tending to them, they're feeding them. And Paul, first of all, we find Paul working after just being shipwrecked, which I like about Paul. And he goes and gathers wood for the fire, and when he throws the wood on the fire, it says that a viper, a snake, jumps out of the firewood and latches onto his hand. And all of a sudden, the islanders that have been being so kind to him look at him and say, "You must be a murderer, and the justice that you escaped from this shipwreck has found you." And basically they expect him to keel over dead because apparently this was a poisonous snake. And for some reason, I relate this moment to Job, probably because I'm reading Job in my personal devotions right now. But when Job suffered personal tragedy, his friends and even his wife come around him and they're not encouraging. His friends say, "You must have done something wrong to bring this injustice upon you, to bring this tragedy upon you." And this is sort of the same thing that's happening with Paul and these islanders. This bad thing happens through no fault of Paul's, and all of a sudden people are attacking him saying, "You must have done something wrong. What's wrong with you?" But there's always a next step. When you're a child of God, there's always an after with a child of God, where the Lord looks at Paul's situation and says, "I'm going to use this simple little thing that came against Paul, that has hurt Paul, that has caused physical or emotional or mental damage." I don't know about you, but I would be mentally damaged if a snake jumped out of a woodpile and bit me. And I'm going to use it for my glory. I'm going to use it to open doors for Paul. Paul shakes off this snake, this attack. He shakes it off, and it says the islanders watch him to see if any harm comes. And there's no swelling. He doesn't pass out. He doesn't keel over dead. And all of a sudden they say, "He must be a god." And Paul has this open door to say, "No, I'm not God, but let me tell you of the God that I serve." It says that he goes in to the head honcho on the island, into his house, and begins to talk to these people about God, begins to heal their sick, and God has brought something beautiful and miraculous out of an attack that Paul never saw coming. Sweet friend, if you're going through a situation, if you're going through an attack, if you're going through a tragedy that you cannot fathom or understand why you're in the middle of that situation, please understand that if your heart is right with God, that these things are not punishment. These trials, these storms, these hard days, these hard years are not punishment, but they are an open door for you from the Lord to minister. Look for that open door in your situation. In my mind, I like to imagine that Paul kept these little scars, these little bite marks from this snake. How else would everyone else have known? Yeah, it's true what they say. I really was bit by a snake and survived. I imagine he carried these scars for many years to come, and yet those scars were just that. They were scars because he got through that situation by the hand of the Lord. Nothing else came upon him to harm him through that situation. He survived it, but not only did he survive it, he thrived through it. He thrived through this attack. He shook off his attacker. And he used this attack to glorify the Lord. Use your attack. Use the things that come against you to bring glory to the Lord. Job didn't curse God. He was sorrowful. He mourned when it was appropriate. He dealt with the things, the anger he felt, but he never turned against God. It says that he fell down and worshiped. In Paul's situation, he opened his mouth and spoke of the glories of God. He prayed healing for the sick. Use your situation. Use your open door. Shake off your attackers and bless God. Go read Acts chapter 28. Wrap up this book of Acts with me, and tomorrow I will be back with you, and we will be diving into couples and relationships in the Bible, and it's going to be a wonderful 2 weeks as we learn from the mistakes of those in the Bible and glean from the strengths of those in the Bible. I love you all. If no one's told you lately, you are loved and you are cherished. You are valuable. You have worth, my friend, and that worth is far above rubies. God bless you all. I'll see you all tomorrow.